We're good? Okay. This is the Woodbridge Board of Finance special meeting to consider the Board of Selectmen recommended budget. This, whatever we accomplish tonight is what will go to the budget hearing on April, what's the date, Karen? Something like that.
Yeah, you probably have one more opportunity
Yeah.
at your regular meeting if you decide
For
to.
that meeting?
Will
Okay.
you still be able to do it on the 19th, right, Karen? We'll make the deadline?
There's some other
Yeah, so the
developments?
19th you'd be able to make a final recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah, 27th.
So, the Board of Selectmen reduced the requested expenditures from $47,929,748 down to $47,067,921. So, I've come up with some ideas. I've run them by Tony. So I'll make some suggestions and some of the things I looked at and some of the things Tony recommended. And then anything else we can go and look at. So I would suggest we start with capital, which is in the back. Sandy and I are always thinking alike.
Yeah, some marks.
Yeah, there's some big items there, so, okay. All right. Animal control, I don't think there's much that we can do with that. Board of Ed. The asphalt, that's part of the project.
That's a grant.
Right.
Yeah, correct.
But the technology, I estimated that since Dr. Stella has been there, which is about 8-9 years, we had to have given them, have given them well in excess of $1 million for technology. And again, in a year where at this point in time, with what the Board of Selectmen did, there's a 4.13% tax increase. I personally am not in favor of that. So I think this is a year where, I mean, I'm sure that if we gave them $400,000, they'd buy computers with it. There's no end to the number of computers. But I think they're at a point now where they can probably do with a little bit less. So I would propose that we cut, I don't know, at least $60,000 from the technology number.
I mean, I think given their, projected surplus
right.
for this year,
Right.
all of that money should be earmarked to reduce this number.
So,
And I think it's 66,000.
Yeah.
That's what they're projecting as of now.
so why don't we round, why don't we say 65, leaving them with 70?
Okay.
Okay?
Does anybody have any? What we'll do is we'll make these changes. Tony will plug them in to give us an
Okay.
idea where we're at.
Yep.
And then we'll vote on the entire plan.
Okay.
Okay, Board of Selectmen, there is nothing. Building maintenance, there's really nothing. Country Club of Woodbridge, there's really nothing. Fire Commission. Well, first of all, as I have for the past, I don't know how many years, remove the ladder truck. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have a new ladder truck, but I am saying that I think it's gonna warrant a whole lot of discussion. And please, anybody who has any other feelings on this, please just blurt in. It would be wonderful, and without any financial considerations, it would be wonderful to have, but
I would agree with you, Matt, and I feel like if we get to the point where we absolutely have to have it, we're gonna find a different financing mechanism.
Correct.
Anyway,
Correct.
we're not gonna be putting aside $200,000 a year as a way to fund that truck.
And we do have mutual aid with.
yes. Yeah, I mean, again, look, like anything else, it'd be nice, I have a snow blower, I'd love to have a plow, but, I don't. And I'm not minimizing the fact, but I don't think that there has ever been an instance where a life was put in danger or whatever because we didn't have a 100-foot ladder truck. I think, again, it would be wonderful to have, but I think with mutual aid, as you said, and whatever. And I just don't,
Well, first of all, based on need, we'll never be denying anything that we're going to need.
right.
They need a new bumper truck, it's $500,000
Right.
this year. They got a pump, they got the truck.
It's been made very apparent that the vast majority of the fire department calls are extrications, car accidents, whatever. They've got a phenomenal rescue vehicle, and so, again, I'm not saying it's never gonna happen, but it's $200,000 we don't need to spend here, so,
Got it.
okay?
Yep.
The assistant chief's vehicle, I think last year we put half in, and we said that perhaps the
Right.
fire association
Right.
should maybe come up with the other half, so I would have moved that. Engine 7, we're committed to that, Tony, or there's something about, you said about a lease we can do?
Yeah, so engine 7, I'm gonna explain that right now. Engine 7 is been ordered. It is currently in the process of being built.
That's
And it will be completed, I just got the latest information, probably around September. So at September, the lease payment would roughly be $163,000. Now, what you could do is, and that's at today's rates, what you could do is decide to do a lease payment in arrears, which means it's due a year after you sign the lease. You pay more in interest, obviously,
Yeah.
because you're delaying it, the payment, a few $1,000s more in interest. But you don't have to pay until September of the fiscal year, following fiscal year.
That works for me.
So that's sort of a judgment call on your.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
but
much
how
interest
is the
could it be?
follow?
It's a few $1,000s.
Based on your chart,
Uh-huh.
when you look at 16 and 17, how do they look? If you want to push that 160 out.
So there are no other. You mean in terms of their budget,
Yeah.
capital budget? So there's no other other than that payment in the ladder truck. Then they don't have any other requests until 18.
All right, so that sounds like a good thing to do then.
So
So
why did
that's-
the Board of Selectmen go to 63? What was the rationale?
Because at the time I told them, I said, we have $100,000 in reserve at the moment
Uh-huh.
that you had put towards this truck a while back. So I said, well, put it in 63 now, because that would be the lease payment due. And then the Board of Finance could decide whether they want to do a payment in arrears or a payment up front,
Okay. And I'm
based on
okay.
the, you know.
And how much did you say would be the interest on that?
It's a few $1,000s difference
Okay.
between
So
the,
now you're up to $360,000.
Yeah.
If you drop the
That's
2
right.
and the 160,
Yeah.
move the 160 out.
Plus
Yeah.
the 25. More
so just to be clear about that, we're still going forward with the vehicle. It's a financing.
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It just
I
pushes
think
it
that-
one more.
That's what Andy's talking about. They came, they said the vehicle they had was a problem, and
exactly.
let's go.
Correct.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Correct.
And we bought it.
And again, the suggestion that we should put this money, we worry about how we're gonna pay for it, and we've always been able to handle it. Tony is very innovative in a lot of these areas, so I think we should just leave it to
On a
the-
cash basis.
Fire hose replacement, no problem. Storage building, definitely remove that. Now, again, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have a storage building. What I'm saying is, one of my concerns is, I don't know, people of this town, I don't think, realize what this is. They're thinking a shed. This is not a shed. This is a massive structure. It's 1,800 square feet, I
Yeah,
think,
I believe so, yeah.
which is huge. It's a house.
Have they, has there ever been a set of plans and a rendering of the
No.
building done?
Exactly my
No.
point.
I mean, well, first of all,
Only-
when
only
presented
jet-
to the Board of Finance, it was a $180,000 project.
Total.
Correct.
Total. So subsequently, since then, it's grown.
They spent that much on the pad.
Well, okay, so fine, but how do you go from here to here without discussing with anybody?
Yeah.
So,
And I think at a point in time, perhaps maybe the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance
There-
maybe need to go over and see exactly what it is that they need to store.
There was a set of plans done a long time ago, but I'm not sure to the extent that they've been
You
shared
mean
recently.
Joe's plans?
Joe's,
Joe
yeah,
Railing.
but it's been
We-
changed. You were on Selectmen at that time, right? Were you on
Yeah.
the Board of Selectmen?
Yeah, and we got the plans.
Right,
when
that's
we
the last
got-
time there were plans done
Yeah,
for this.
right, that's the last time.
Yeah.
But the problem was that he didn't really do those with the fire.
Right.
And
right.
that was the issue. So he
Right.
had his image of what he thought could go in the shed, which looked great, and it meant that everything could move. But that's not what the firemen think could really happen.
well, who did the plans?
Joe
Riola.
Riola. Joe Riola. You got them in the packet, what that had all the different plans
That's
for
right.
the center of
You're
town.
right, yeah. Right.
So the only thing I think we really need to consider is that one of the reasons that I think Ellen wanted us to look at all the plans and to also have Brian Humes come and talk to us is that what are the domino effects? What are all of the issues? And this is one of them. So there's other funding in here for the other steps in the process in terms of the police station, of the old firehouse, And so all of those are components with this shed of making those changes. So my feeling is if we're going to say, no, we're not going to fund this, then we have to look at the viability of funding those other components. And are we saying that we just can't afford to do all those pieces, but we'll start the domino effect?
I don't, at this point in time, I don't think we, I mean, if we're saying, can we afford to fund all those projects?
They're in here.
I understand that. I don't
Yeah.
think we can afford
Yeah.
to fund all those projects without raising our debt to almost our limit. I mean, Tony spent a lot of
Right.
time doing that report, showed where we were. Now you want to add another $3, $4, $5 million in debt on top of that? And the police department's $2 million to do that phase one. And you have to add another $1 million on top of that for the radios
Right.
that are
Right.
going to go into the,
Right.
so what I'm saying, that goes from $2.5 million to $3.5 million. So next thing you know, if you take it and add it all, Chris, you're hitting
Right.
$5 million.
Right.
What's that do to his debt limit? He's
I-
going to exceed the debt limit.
I am not disagreeing with you, Andy, but my feeling is that you can't look at each of these pieces in isolation unless what we're saying is that we will gradually fund the different pieces. Because there's police station money in here. There's the old firehouse restoration. That's
True.
the perspective
That's
that
true.
I'm coming
I
from
just
as
think-
I looked at this.
I just think at this point, I mean, it was almost as if when we voted for this firehouse and we passed it for 20,000 square feet, we were literally told, it's not enough, we need 5,000 more. We were all but promised that, I mean, it's the best building in town as far as I'm concerned. And it's never been enough. So I think from my purposes, I don't know if you agree, I think I'd like to have a walkthrough and see exactly what it is that they don't have room for. I mean, I don't know what's in that old firehouse. Is it stuff they use every day or stuff they just store there? I think I need to see that and why we need this additional space. I mean, it's just.
And yet the police
You know
department
what
keeps
you
getting
say.
pushed
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
The police department keeps on getting pushed off.
yeah, I know.
It's like, well,
Right?
like they don't need anything.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
we've taken care of all our other departments.
yeah.
And their hope, and they're not asking to build a new building, they're asking to
Renovate what they have.
renovate
Yeah.
an existing structure in the center of town and bring it back to, and give it a 25 or 30 or 40, 50-year life cycle. And they can't get an advocate, they can't get anybody to support that.
Well, I think it's certainly on our radar, but compared to the Public Works, for example, I mean, Public Works worked in a dire building for, it was the most hideous situation there was. At least the police department has a clean building.
I'm not denying
Yeah.
the fact, I'm not saying that I'm saying that. What I'm saying is,
Oh, yeah.
we're taking care of the
Oh, yeah.
infrastructure for the other departments in town, okay? And there's two things that go with the police department renovation. Not only, part of that is just bringing that building in the center of town, okay? And bringing that back to a 25, 30, or 40, 50-year use level, which is probably some of the things we should consider doing, okay? Giving that building a new life, you know?
So I think with the storage building, number one, I probably speak for me and Andy, that if we knew this was gonna happen, we probably wouldn't have voted for it. It was supposed to be 160,000, and I don't know if you were on the Board of Finance when that.
Oh, yeah,
You were? Okay.
180, we said.
And-
It's 180,000.
Yeah, I mean,
180,
it's
that's what
just-
we agreed
You can't
to.
change the rule, you know, I was on the edge as it was, but, okay, you know, but,
But I think we have to view it as times have changed, other things have happened.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of them changing the rules, this is the reality.
Yeah.
Then we decide whether or not we want to go forward with it.
Yeah.
I think looking at what the real situation is would be helpful. It would inform a decision. We had a reason to say it was 180, and it was very legitimate at that time. It's too bad that it didn't go forward, because at that point, that would have solved a lot of problems, but it didn't.
and another thing I would say, and perhaps the Board of Selectmen should, I'm tired of all the disputes with the fire department. They put up a patio, and I mean, we ended up in court over that. I don't know that people are prepared to see this thing go up. I mean, it's gonna be huge. I don't know if anybody realizes that this thing, you know, if they're upset when they walk and they see a flat patio that you really can't see, I don't know if they're gonna be ready to see a huge structure there. So I think the public, because everybody's looking to pounce on us and the Board of Selectmen, I think it needs to be aired out that this is something that the fire department is looking to do.
Well, I think it needs to, that's why I say a set of plans needed to develop.
Exactly.
So the townspeople see, and people see exactly what they propose to build back there. Okay? And I think we should start there.
Okay.
So that's,
Got it?
now Tony, you also discussed with me something you call prepay capital.
Well, unfortunately,
No.
sometimes when we have funds remaining in contingency, we pre-purchase some capital items with contingency so you can remove it from the following year's budget. The more it snows, the less we have to do that.
The less likely there will be.
The less likely there's
So that's a
money.
down the road
That's a
possibility.
down the
Still
road
have a
possibility.
positive balance?
Still, this is a good example of why we don't use contingency
Right.
unless you absolutely have to until March or
All
April.
right, so then that's a down, well, that's one of
So
the,
Okay.
we'll take a second, we'll take it. Even if it's after
I
the,
actually may have a good idea either at your next meeting
yeah,
and even perhaps after the hearing.
yeah. I'd like to think,
By then, I
looking
hope-
at the weather coming up, that,
April, hopefully.
we're gonna get Thursday and then we're gonna have 30-degree weather for like
Right.
next week. So
Right.
let's hope it's over
I'm
almost.
hoping by your meeting in March it'll be.
You look so optimistic.
That's because I opened my big mouth back in December or January and said we were doing so great.
That's the only positive part about this whole thing is we didn't have hardly any
Yeah.
for December and January.
That's correct. Almost
Yeah.
nothing.
So
All right, so human services, there's nothing. Library, there's nothing. Parks, there's nothing. Police, we've got vehicles. Radio project, Tony, is that really?
those are actually handhelds.
Okay.
Those aren't. That's not
It's
the
not the
radio
radio
project
tower.
itself.
It's not
right.
Right.
it's not, these are.
It's not a console.
Okay.
It's not the console, it's not for the call center.
All right.
But we do have the money from the building upgrade. Now, is that
We
state,
have-
federal funds and bonds, and so therefore that's not really operating?
Correct.
Okay.
But it still what it does is it shows that you're having your plan or in your improvement program possibility of performing that upgrade. So it identifies that as a possible expenditure, which is what if you're thinking
And
about
that
doing.
runs
that's
out
what you
when,
want to
Tony?
do. Pardon?
How long do we have to use that,
The grant?
the grant?
2018.
So we have to 2018.
Yeah. And you just have to spend the grant. You don't have to spend more than the grant. In other words, you just need to spend the $500,000.
Right.
All right. Pool, $5,000 just to have it, I think is a good idea. Again, I mean, you could slash this budget significantly by just saying, all right, no road reserve this year, and that's just stupid. Our roads are the best around as far as I'm concerned. You drive through this town and they really are. So,
I think we have an obligation to continue to do what we do for our infrastructure.
absolutely.
You can't cut back there.
Okay.
One thing we discussed at the Selectmen, which I just want to bring to your attention, in the equipment replacement reserve,
Yeah.
there was funding for a sweeper.
Mhm.
That's what that was for. We also have sweeping in the operating budget. So what we were looking at was possibly how much would it be to lease a sweeper, and how
As
much do
opposed
we
to
pay?
purchase
Right, and how much do we pay to have it outsourced? And what would be would there be a savings there, or then we would own our own equipment? So we're sort of currently putting that together.
Okay.
So that's why we took the 50,000 out, because at the end of the day, you didn't have a sweeper until.
Okay.
When Warren did his presentation, Tony, you mentioned the possible implementation of more strict EPA regulations as far as leaf collection.
Right.
Has that been?
We removed all that.
That was
Okay.
removed from
from the
discussion,
selectmen's
yeah.
budget. Yeah.
So, for how many years have we done either a truck replacement reserve or a bridge and waterways reserve?
And Public Works.
Yeah.
It's pretty routine. Truck replacement reserve is every year based on the schedule for truck replacement. And I think this year it's just a pickup truck or something. Has an
Shows
awards
30.
request. The bridge replacement reserve is for the finishing up of the Merritt Avenue Bridge. So we still have that bridge that we're doing. Then after that, hopefully, I don't think there's too many other bridges left in town.
Okay.
So
But
then
that'll
it would
take
just be
us
some
through
minor water.
2021?
Pardon?
That'll take us through 2021 in terms of.
No, I think you could probably, that should be this year, it should finish. So maybe there might be some residual next year if we have some, where we need to fund.
Are they ever going to
for
finish it?
justice. We're hopeful. We're going to finish it in April,
Once the weather breaks.
early May. The weather's been a little bit of a problem.
Now, they incurred, prior to the weather changing, penalties,
They incur
whether we get them or not.
liquidated damages. I believe we don't get them. It's my understanding that the federal government gets them because this is mostly funded by the federal
I
government.
gotcha, okay.
They incur liquidated damages, and then it's up to, they have to prove that they had some sort of delay, and if they prove it satisfactorily to ultimately the federal government and the state, then they'll get an extension on their contract, and that would alleviate some of their liquidated damages.
Okay. All right, recreation, you got a couple items in there, gymnastics equipment and shuffleboard courts. I guess,
What do they amount to?
55, I'm not gonna worry about that. All right, so that takes care of capital. So with that, Tony, can you tell you where we're at now?
Sure.
So we started at 4.13.
You're at a expenditure increase of 2.29
Yeah,
and a tax increase of 2.90.
oh, good, we're under 3.
Oh, that's great.
Good. And I guess we got,
Okay.
so now it's everybody's pleasure. We want to go department by department, or it's just maybe
Yeah.
fire, all right, let's go department by department.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, so. First is the Board of Selectmen. You know, Tony, maybe we should just, obviously you were at the Board of Selectmen meeting. Is there anything in particular, not much here.
The changes that were made?
Yeah.
There's some minor changes made to, just based on actual history, just adjusting a few accounts.
I don't see anything.
Nothing significant.
I don't see anything else. So we'll just, probate court, of course, is nothing. Town clerk,
There's two items in the town clerk, and it's a related item in the registrar, which I believe is the next one.
Yep.
Yeah. And so we had originally suggested cuts to the election supplies and to the election workers, being not a town election year. But both the town clerk and the registrar have indicated to us that they anticipate some presidential preference primaries that year. And so there actually might be a lot of activity. And so they wanted to rethink the cuts that we made. Would like you to rethink those cuts. So it's,
Can we look for
or
other
if not,
we have a
then,
huge contingency.
or if not, then at least be on notice that in
Yeah,
fact
okay.
they may
That's fine.
need to fund those items later on.
I'm
That's
good.
okay.
I'm good with that.
Our notice.
Registrar, all right, same basic thing.
Same thing on election workers, right?
Like anything else, we have to fund if it's an election.
Right.
Well, we will.
Right.
Oh, here's a big one.
Government access TV, let's cut the whole thing. Okay, no problem. General administration, I guess, the insurance number, I see you raised it. Is that
Yep,
a-
insurance went up a little, yeah, that's just based on our latest available information.
Okay,
We won't actually put that out for quotes until probably a few months.
okay, so that could change.
That could change, and then I just electricity,
Okay.
because the Public Works facility has got its own meter now,
Mhm.
so it's going down a little.
Good. Okay, information systems, that's pretty cast in stone, right?
Yes.
Okay. Finance department, no cut. Oh, I gotta cut something here.
Let's cut the banking fees. We'll
Yeah.
just kind of.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the banking fees.
Remember when that used
It's
to
amazing, it
be?
used to be zero,
Interest.
Yeah.
and we'd have
Yep.
tons of
I
interest.
Tons of-
know.
yeah.
It was like, what? Yeah.
Okay. Tax collector, for what she does, 135,000 is a bargain. Okay, tax assessor, very reasonable budget based on last year. I don't see a problem with that.
So how was the buyback sick able to be reduced? I mean, it's not much, but,
It was, I just based it off of the last year's.
oh, I
See,
see.
it's the
Got
same,
it.
yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, Board of Assessment Appeals, that's a non-event. Board of Finance. Can we shave contingency, Tom?
At this point, I would hold off.
You sure, nothing? All right, let's cut.
You-
Let's cut 25.
25, all right, you can certainly cut 25.
Only 25.
I think you could revisit that at a later
Yeah,
date.
we'll go back, we'll come back, we'll keep that
I
in
was
the
gonna
back
pressure
burner.
Tony for 50.
If we know this is the last snow we're gonna get for a year and a half,
Right,
I'd say cut it some more, but let's see, because there's gonna be some negotiations.
correct,
Okay.
correct.
We'll do 25.
Yeah, knock 25 off. Okay.
Okay.
TPZ, 57,000, a big drop. General professional services, that's
That's
something?
that's typically at 0.
Okay,
But the 2 years ago and last year, the town plan of conservation and development was funded. So
okay,
you'll see 14 and 15, that's roughly
Okay.
76.
All right.
So that what's this year is proposed as a town planner,
okay.
part-time town planner.
Part-time town planner. Is that something we have to do? That's what the 20,000
That's the
is?
request from the town plan and zoning, planning and zoning.
And what exactly will that person do?
Well, as indicated in the budget presentation,
Yeah.
they will assist in so we used to have, I guess we used to have a planner back
Oh, yeah, many years ago.
many years ago.
I think it was Andy or Andy.
It was before I was here.
Yeah.
And, and then since we have not had one.
So it just says for a planning consultant, to create zoning regulations. That's what I have.
Right.
And have they identified a person?
No, they have not. Nor method, whether it's a firm or part-time person or there has
Or
been really
subcontracted
or
out.
subcontracted. Right.
Yeah.
There's been no.
So why do we all of a sudden need this? We've never had it. Any idea why we need this?
Well, and what are the zoning regs we really need changed that are a priority,
Yeah.
that
Right.
came from the plan?
Right.
I would say that if they want to go ahead and do this and they can make a compelling reason for it, then they should come forward with it.
Yeah, for
But
that.
we don't have to fund it.
Right, take it out for now.
Okay.
Everybody agree on that? I don't want to
Yeah,
be the jury.
No.
I need to hear more about that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they do have a point. If you look at our zoning regs, they're not well organized. It's not easy to find. It's not easy to link amendments to the original ordinance. And I could see possibly a one-time redrafting compilation of them all. So I'd be receptive to a specific proposal as to what would be done with those regs and maybe funding that, but I agree.
For now,
just
let's-
a blanket amount. is
For now,
the
let's
right
let
way.
them come back to us for that.
Well, let them come back with a detailed proposal.
Right,
Yeah.
Okay.
right,
Good
exactly.
plan.
Exactly.
Because that was one, we just kind of did it ourselves, right? They didn't really have anybody here to present it, so.
I mean, I agree with you, David. It's not that I don't support it, but the question is, it's not firm enough at this
Right.
point to
I
move
agree.
forward, so.
I agree with you.
Okay. Zoning Board of Appeals, no problem. The Center, no problem. Former fire station, no problem. Country Club of Woodbridge, I guess we can't do anything with that.
Yeah, I didn't.
I hope,
Not much.
I truly hope we
We
can
still
make
have
some,
it, of
we can
course.
make some headway on doing something positive with that property. All right, Police Department. I was looking at overtime.
Which one? The
Oh,
police officers? or-
officers, yeah. You cut it by 10, or they cut it by 10.
Yeah.
Well, how much of that, part of that overtime is services they provide to Public Works.
Right.
And again, the real issue there is they still have people out
Right.
that have been out on disability. One person, I guess, been out for 2 years.
Right.
Now,
That's roughly half.
this, in the world I live in, okay, that would never happen. I mean, they just wouldn't be out, that's, Now, these people would have been replaced by now.
Is there some state statute, some limitation? How long can a person,
Yeah, I don't get
can a
it.
public employee be out on disability?
Until they're at maximum medical improvement.
What is maximal?
It means they're not getting any better. And then you can determine whether, once they're at maximum medical improvement, whether or not they have the ability to perform the job.
So it could be
Could be.
many years.
Could be a while.
So we
It all
have two
depends on the
slots
injury and on the.
not filled, and in order to, and then, which means we have shortage of personnel on the road, and then our other offices have to do overtime
Right.
to compensate for it.
And we get reimbursed a percentage of the salary from comp, our workers' comp carrier, for the person who's out. So it's usually about 70%, 60, 70, depends on the person. And then we apply that
Well,
back to.
again, but they're reimbursing us for their salary,
Right,
but we're
Right.
still paying the overtime.
Oh, yeah.
right. So this, I
I
guess
get
my
reimbursed
only
for the
point
overtime.
is,
Yeah.
my only point on that is that the salary account then is reduced by the reimbursement
Yeah.
from the comp carrier.
Yeah.
So typically, Matt can attest to this, we usually have funds remaining in the salary line to transfer into overtime.
So why don't, I'd like to suggest that we cut this by, just cut the budget and let Tony decide where he can put it on you.
Okay.
Cut it,
You mean the entire budget?
well, an overall cut, and Tony can pick the lines that he thinks, because they always have money left over, they can,
Okay.
I mean, maybe take 10 out of overtime and here,
What's
there,
your,
whatever.
what amount are you suggesting?
20, 25.
Okay.
Do 25.
25.
Find 25 and
Okay.
just take it out, but then you'll
I'll
decide.
report at the next meeting.
Yeah,
All right, so the
Unless somebody-
Board of Selectmen took off 25.
yeah,
And you're saying take off
take off
another
another
25.
25, yeah.
So we're taking off 50.
Yeah.
Well,
But, like I said, they always have money left over.
this is taxpayers' night tonight, I think.
Right.
So.
All right, Fire Commission. Let's see. Well, again, we have a 20% increase for the chief. I know it's not a lot of money, but what kind of message does that send to other town employees who are gonna get 2 or 3%? Or whatever they're gonna get, I don't know. It's not that I don't think the chief is worth 25,000, I just think that to throw, I don't know, anybody agree or disagree, or? It's not a lot of money, and
I know.
he does do a lot of work, leave it alone. It's-
Yeah, I don't want to,
Yeah.
getting into nickel and diming
Yeah.
for a few thousand here
Yeah.
and there, I'm not sure if that's worth the morale.
What about the
issues.
position now that they've increased to a full-time position?
Right.
That's
That's
a big number.
roughly $30,000 when you include
The
benefits.
benefits.
Right.
So I think
Mhm.
we should put that back to where, to a part-time, or to
Okay.
whatever doesn't qualify benefits,
Okay.
in my opinion. I don't know, it's just not the year. Maybe, down the road, I don't know.
What's the rationale for her to go full-time for?
She needs more time.
The increase,
More time. So, or another part-timer.
Well, if you remember, Sean said that, he can't go to all the meetings, this is someone else who can go for him. That's what I had written down.
So I would, whatever changes that occurs.
okay.
Maybe
Um,
the assistant could go to some meetings. I mean, they're getting.
It looks like the, Board of Selectmen cut 9,500 out of this budget.
All right, what did the selectmen cut out of this budget?
A little out of data processing.
Data processing, a couple thousand.
Dollars.
Electric went down.
Dollars, they cut,
9,500, about
9,500
They
bucks.
cut 9,500.
Yeah,
Okay, what are we proposing to cut?
so,
Well, we're gonna reduce clerical, and we're also gonna reduce medical insurance, right?
Right, that's not in this budget.
Whatever.
The only thing on this budget would be 13,000 roughly.
they have a 7.3% increase.
I have to say, I still do not understand why the software maintenance is that expensive.
Right.
I mean, what are they
No.
working on?
Well, when you take it on the annual, if you add it up over the last 3 or 4 years, it really gets to be a lot of money.
Right. Well, and that's why I keep
I don't know
asking
why
the
every
questions
year-
every year. Why
why-
aren't they doing something with the town
11,000
and the
just-
police to, get a reduced number there? That's a lot of money.
$22,000, and what was it last year? 19.5. Previous year was
17.
17.7.
That's a lot of software, Tony.
It is.
Now, does that include I know they're like their heating and their air conditioning, they have all this.
That includes, no, that's out
Oh,
of.
that's strictly computer.
That's the building line.
All right, you know what, I think, I almost would say the same thing. Why
The
don't
same thing, you want to put a
pick
figure
a
in
number and
I'll
you
work
find
with
out
it.
where to put it.
Okay.
But like you said, Omni, what would Omni do for that amount of money? That's over $1,500. I mean, this is almost $2,000 a month, so
Yeah,
what
I
do
have to
they
look at-
do?
I have to look deeper into the call
So
volume.
they're
and what
saying it's
doing.
telephone, computer, security, crash recovery system, software, and meter calibration. So all those things are in software maintenance.
I mean,
Right.
I could
Look,
certainly, want to pick, like you said,
you
Well,
know,
let me see, I'm just
how
curious.
much do you spend annually?
for the town,
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
20.
for your department, for you, maintain the software for the town.
22, 20, 23. That's just the consultant part.
That's an information system.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
See, they have data processing
Yeah, yours is
and
66.
software maintenance.
Yeah.
So there's 2 actually, and then computers is 3. There's 3 lines that are related to software and computers. If you'll see.
Computer,
Data
are
processing.
you talking for you or for the fire
For the
department?
fire department?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
see
data
11,000, 22,000, and where's? And the-
16.
And 16,
Right.
Yeah,
annually.
correct.
That's,
56,000?
Right.
And the
Right.
town is,
I don't spend anywhere near that for my business.
Yeah, that's great.
again.
And this is something, 56,000, shouldn't we get some kind of bids or whatever?
Yeah.
Instead of just going with the same people over and over? I mean, it might be a good price, but if you go out to bid, you'd know.
That's a lot of money. $56,000.
And just again, for example, they have 16,000 of capital, an AMCO spreader, an AMCO cutter. I just wonder, of course, we can never find out, what does the association do with their money that they raise? I mean, do they buy anything that they can come back and say, look, we just paid for this? I know they've got a lot of money in there, and I think the people who donate to that, they're thinking they're gonna use it for good purposes of equipment, et cetera. And it'd be nice if they would publicize, oh, we just bought this, and we just bought this. I don't know. So I would suggest, I think we can cut something out of this
But
capital.
what does the police department spend? I mean, 56,000 a year?
no, near that.
I don't think we spend that much in the town.
So, it seems a little, I mean,
And again, if you look at all the major departments, 2%, 2%,
42.
they're 7%. I mean, they're way above every other department.
so if they're paying 56.42, and we're spending well over $100,000.
Yes, that's correct.
So
There's
is
a lot of it
maybe-
is software licensing. That's a good part of it. And I can certainly get you the information. It's consulting. Because we don't have anybody on staff in either of the departments that actually has that as their job. I should correct that. There's a police officer who does it.
Yeah, but, so I guess maybe, is it time to really take a hard look
Yes.
at this, based on the fact that we're spending collectively well over 100,000 or more a year? And maybe centralize, have a centralized
We
system,
could certainly do
or
that.
somebody,
Mhm.
okay, or,
So I don't know, I would suggest, aside from the clerical, I don't know, 20,000? See if Tony can find 20,000? Does that work?
well, okay. They did 9,500.
Yeah.
Right.
Clerical, what are you
About
proposing
13.
for clerical?
13?
13,
Yeah, 13,000 is the clerical.
and then another 20 on top of that.
Yeah. And I think part of it is that, I mean, and the message should be, guys, I mean, why don't you guys take the money from the association and buy some of these little pieces of equipment?
What was that, Matt? That was 20, you said?
20.
20 plus the 13.
And again, I'm not telling them how to spend their money, but if they are spending the money, which I don't think they are, because we seem like we buy, then publicize it. Let people know. Look, I remember. I know when Orange buys it, they have that carnival. They raise it. They make it very clear what they do with that money. They buy trucks and they buy. I mean, I'm not saying that they raise anywhere near the amount of money that Orange does, but
33.
publicize what you do with that money. People donate to that, and so that's
Okay,
all right.
got it.
Going to be a very popular guy tomorrow.
I know. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
They do a fantastic job, but it's just when everybody comes in at 2%, they come in at 7%. And let's be honest about it. I'm not saying anything that we don't all know. At the end of the year, they never have any money left. They spend every dime they have. So, all right, medical services, nothing. District Animal Patrol. Tony, you mentioned something about trying maybe to reallocate some of
Yes,
this
we're
because
not-
Derby is getting the bargain of the century. Right?
Yeah, we're not quite complete yet on
Right,
that
so that's something that
process.
could happen.
But that's something that could definitely happen.
Okay. Okay.
So Derby's getting a bargain.
Yes.
Currently.
We're taking care of all our bow wows for free.
Not for free, but it's a good deal.
Do we have water for the dogs?
I was gonna say, they like bottled water.
Are the dogs still on bottled water?
They are, but we're going to be ending that soon, I think.
Only in Woodbridge.
I know,
Bottled water for the
between
dogs.
the bottled water and the frogs, I mean, it's just, it's hilarious.
Bottled water.
All right, building department, I don't think there's anything there, it's mostly salary. Public Works, they cut a chunk out of Public Works.
Yes, a lot of that was the, what
Yeah.
And rental.
you
The
asked about
rentals for
earlier,
the equipment.
was the work for the new regulations on stormwater.
So again, we've got 70,000 road maintenance here, plus what, 720? Something like that?
750, yeah, around
And
there.
then the labor for these guys, that's not part, this is just for material.
Correct.
The
The road
labor,
maintenance is for the
asphalt,
asphalt, and to apply the asphalt. We don't apply it ourselves. We have a
Right.
contractor do it.
Right. but our guys assist. so
Correct.
that's part of it. too.
Right.
So it's really more than that, we come right down to it.
Yes, yes. And usually there's some overtime involved because they work longer days to get the paving in.
Okay. All right, I don't see anything here.
Yeah,
They do a
There's
really
not
good
much.
job.
there's
How
not
much?
much.
What did the selectmen do?
They cut out
It might be a little bit.
73, 74,000.
There might be a little bit on that electricity, based on the when we get a little more history here.
Okay.
So that's the only thing I could suggest, if possible.
Yeah, I mean, behind us,
What
right.
did the 70,000 the selectmen reduced impact?
It's mainly that rental,
It
equipment
was,
rental.
yeah, it was mostly the extra money that was put in for the stormwater
Oh,
stuff.
sorry.
So
So-
there's probably a little bit on electricity, maybe. That's the only thing I can think of.
And would that include the electric for the street and stoplights?
No, the 42 on the electric buildings.
So why does that, if that goes down, will the other one not go down?
Because the electric for the buildings is for the new building. So I'm not quite sure exactly
Oh, I see.
of
Got
how
it.
much the use will be.
Yep,
Yeah.
got it.
Okay. Anything else on that? Waste management, Tony, I think that's pretty,
We're currently, oh yeah, waste management. No, there's nothing in waste
But it was reduced 21K,
management. Right.
so.
how about remediation? Is that?
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. too.
Yeah.
So the remediation, we're currently in talks with the builder for the oil water separator. So to the extent that there's a resolution to that, there may be some funds for this 30,000, which is a direct result of having to monitor the wells over at the firehouse. So I'm hoping that this will be,
So we're in,
yeah.
trying to settle it?
So yeah, trying to settle it.
Because
Yeah.
there definitely was it was
Correct.
not properly installed.
We're trying to settle it. That's right.
Okay, so is that looking good? I mean, you don't know yet.
I don't know yet.
Okay. So leave this,
I will leave it for now.
but it could
But I'm
change.
hopeful that that could change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Building maintenance, not so much there.
So why does there end up being so much overtime for building maintenance? What are they doing?
They do, so we're a little short. Some of that's janitorial. It's not just building maintenance, it's also custodians.
Okay.
So we're probably a little short there. So as a results in some overtime, but as opposed to hiring somebody else. That's a good part of it. And then some of it's if there's calls, alarm calls in the middle of the night, building maintenance responds.
Okay.
So if one of the alarms goes off, they have to come and they have to check, the alarm company and all that.
So you're
It's a
comfortable
minimum
with
of
this?
4 hours.
Right, it's minimum 4 hours, correct.
You're comfortable with this? Tom?
I am, yes.
All right.
Human Services, the budget is, they're the most conscientious budget people there are, so I'll leave them alone. Recreation.
This has the $10,000 in it for Amity, for the summer program.
Oh, yeah.
That's really the big
That's
add here.
okay, all right. Okay,
And they can't do anything about that.
No, they
No,
don't.
and if you take that out, there's not, if you take that out, all you have are the sand courts.
pool and gym, that's pretty much standard. Parks Department. We heard Adam's pitch for,
Impassioned
I'm afraid
pitch.
if we don't get. And he makes a logical, they do take care of an awful lot of property and,
And we didn't fund his irrigation requests, so,
so we'll leave him alone.
okay.
Country Club Pool,
The Selectmen.
Thomas Darling House, Library, I don't see a problem with that. Conservation Committee. It's $3,500 extra for
Right.
general professional services. What did they say?
I'm not sure if it's specifically defined in there other than, it says,
Continue evaluation of open space and inventory of natural resources, hiring a professional service for developing a wildlife action plan.
Oh,
To
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Yeah.
Get that, knock $3,500 off that.
okay,
Yeah.
Economic development. Economic development. That's the website thing?
yep. I think that's the website.
Monthly
Yeah, it is the-
official
it is the
website.
I mean, we're doing a lot of that within the
Yeah.
town website.
Yeah, that's, Karen, you're involved, is that something that's, no comment?
You gotta say something.
Put him on the spot.
I think we could probably
Not gonna,
make that work within our existing framework.
we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Inland wetlands, I don't see anything there. Employees and benefits, that could change, right? Hopefully.
Yes, employee benefits could change, absolutely. That ties with the contingency argument.
Debt service. Okay, Woodbridge Board of Ed, I made some notes. And quite frankly, I don't think it's fair to take money out of here, money out of there. I know we took this technology away, but they still have plenty of computers, but currently, Amity's budget is $13,542,000. If you take Beecher's budget, their budget to start with is $13,544,000, so it's $2,000 more than Amity. If you add to that capital, which you have to, and I'm adding capital what they requested, and debt service, capital is $135,000, which is the computers, which we cut out, but that's beside. And debt service is over $500,000. Their budget is at $14,200,093 as opposed to Amity's, which is $13,542,000 and could go down. So I mean, we have been very, very good to Beecher, and anybody who says we haven't needs to have their head checked. they get class size, they get everything they want. But just for my purposes, and again, it's that they need the money, but I can't grasp how it costs more to educate K through 6 than 7 through 12. Amity's got 3 buildings, 3 principals, 3 assistant principals, 3 support staffs, athletics, programs, arts. I mean, it's I don't know. I don't know if that's normal. If you talk to other educators, if it's normal for K through 6 to cost more. I mean, where these budgets were, I don't know if where budgets are from K through 12, I don't know if they could even break it out, but I think, we're more than generous. We always have been with Beecher. And I just wanted to point that out, that we're spending quite a bit more for Beecher than we are for Amity. So
How many
again,
students do we have in Amity?
huh? Well, it's 36, probably about.
Isn't it in the book? I didn't bring my book.
No, I don't have the exact number. It's 30-something percent. What's 32% of 2320? That's what it boils down to. So probably around 700. 2320
Yeah, about the same amount of students.
times 33.
Yeah.
$765.
Yeah, so we're in the ballpark. So with that, I mean, I just think, to cut 20 here and 30, I'm not in favor of just, I think Beecher, it's a 3.82% is high in 2015/16 from what I've seen.
Well, I think the other thing is that historically over the last 4 or 5 years, they've had surpluses.
Yeah.
That they've used those dollars for other things for the school.
Yep.
But there has been a surplus at the end. They haven't had to come back to us asking for more money. So we will ask them to use their surplus to fund.
If they could fund whatever they
computers.
want or prepay whatever they want.
Right.
I know, I think it was it's almost 70,000, I think, as we speak, 68, 66, so. So I just think, I mean, basically, based on what we did so far, we said, okay, we'll cut
Yeah.
65,000 from, but we know they've got that much, so they can buy it anyway. I think we need to reduce this budget by a number. I don't know, 40,000, does that seem feasible?
I mean, I think one issue for them is that they have to do teacher negotiations, so it's not clear where that will go.
Will that be in this next budget year?
I thought
I
it
think,
was, but you know, I'm wrong.
I think it's the year after.
The year after. Okay.
Anybody know? 30, 40, you tell me? I mean, we're cutting 30 out of police and whatever. I mean, it's the least I just don't feel comfortable saying to the police department, well, we cut yours, but Beecher getting everything they want. And it's 7 times your budget. So.
Look, I don't have a problem with it.
And it's a very small percentage.
Yeah,
of their
it
total
is.
Very
budget.
small percentage of the
It is,
budget.
and again, I mean, 3.82 is a very large increase.
No, it's a very large increase.
It's over $500,000, and we're going to be jumping on that bond issue. So, well, I'm going to say 40,000. Does anybody?
I would
50.
think that would
50?
be at least.
50. Okay.
Don't hear 60.
Again, that's not based on anything other than I just think.
No, I'm
It's a
basing it actually on looking over the last few years
Yeah.
and saying that I think that if the trend continues, it's going to be that or more.
Yeah,
50?
50.
50.
Where are we? What did we finish, end up with?
So far you've.
Now, what was that? The
Did
number?
you do the
50 or 60?
benefits
What did
for
you
that?
say?
50.
Yeah.
For that?
It was 50.
For the fire one?
For the fire.
Yeah. So it's $701,300 you've removed. So the expenditures are at 46,366,621, which is a 1.9% increase,
Okay.
and the tax increase is 2.47% increase, which is where you are currently. And the reason is primarily the reason is the reduction of revenues from.
Any chance the state will be more than we think we were estimating?
I doubt it.
You doubt it?
Yeah, we use the governor's recommended
Don't be
budget.
so negative.
Kevin, hold your breath.
All right, Amity, I've been screaming at them again and again to try and get their budget down, so we'll see what happens. I haven't heard how it went in Orange and Bethany, but Bethany was asking for a 0% increase. Orange hasn't voted for a budget there, at least their finance board hasn't, they vote on the budget, the Amity budget. And so, we'll see, on Monday night we're meeting, and we're gonna get the final word on the budget. And
Sure.
if Bethany and Orange both vote against it, that's gonna be a message I think they've gotta take seriously, so. Hopefully they'll get this thing done. I've talked to Chip 3 or 4 times, and we're always looking for economies, but we'll see.
But we're not getting any money back.
That's the reason for the revenue.
That's part of the
Nothing's gonna help our
revenue
taxpayers.
shortfall.
That's the reason for the revenue shortfall, exactly.
Okay, we did capital.
Yeah.
All right, so the tax increase at this point, so do I need to make a motion now? You should-
I'd wait till the 19th.
Yeah, right.
And then I'll just do them, we'll do them all at once.
Sounds
Because they may
good.
have some more developments by then.
So, just so I can update my list here,
Yeah,
so
I wanna do this.
spending increase is how much now? Oh, give me the number first. Board of Finance recommended 40,
46,366,621,
and it's an increase of,
1.90%.
and the amount to be raised by taxes is 2 point,
You mean the amount?
yeah,
2,952,000. Oh, I'm sorry,
No,
I'm reading the, yeah.
percentage increase. All
2.47.
right, so we're under 2.5. So,
Yep.
maybe with a little luck, we can get it under 2, that'd be great. Well, let's see, what we hear about these cuts. I just think, it's times when we need to be,
Yep. I don't think anything we did was
No.
overboard or
I
unreasonable.
think,
Cuts are always hard to make.
yeah.
You have to say no.
Okay, anything else we want to talk about? Okay, so then we're going to meet again the 19th? No,
Yep.
3rd, 4th, 5th, 12th, 19th.
Yeah.
Thursday the 19th. And then maybe Tony will have some more to do. I hear those plows going by and I'm feeling dollar signs out of my head. But it would be nice if we have, 80,000 left in contingency. We could-
Yeah, I was just doing
we
this
can-
here for you.
We can use that too.
If you're at 200, another $200,000, you're right at 2%
Right,
for a tax increase.
okay.
Okay.
So you're not,
Well,
far,
again,
you're
if
not
you
that far away.
Right, well, if we have anything left in contingency.
So if you have money in contingency,
If it ever
that should be
stops
half,
snowing,
that could be some of
right,
it.
that'll be a big chunk right there.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Nice job, Matthew.
Yep.
Always a
very good.
pleasure.